I'm getting ready to install the third grommet in the tuner mounting hole here. Somehow I wound up with a whole bag of these grommets. I don't even know where they came from, but I'm glad I have them. They're all different sizes and thicknesses and everything. I just can't remember where I got them all, but I'm glad I had them because I had 3, which is required for this tuner mounting. So, you know, the other ones were all hard and crumbly, if you'll remember. So what I'm going to do is just stick it down in there like so. This is the last one to go in. It'll slip in real easy. Kind of peel your edge up a little bit. Then I take a little ballpoint pen, just kind of stick it down in there, and it'll roll in there just as nice as can be. Just like that. Now let me tell you a funny story. The wife and I have a cable outfit for our television. And I decided that, you know, maybe I'd like to go with Dish Network, you know. So I gave him a call a few minutes ago, and I told the guy, I said, hey, look, you know, I live in a valley, and behind our house, which is the southern side of the house, there's a hill with some very tall trees. You know, I don't know if I need southern exposure for the dish to operate. I don't know if it'll operate with all those trees there. Because I just don't have the right angle. And I said, I'd like to have a guy come out and take a look at our place and tell us if it's good to go. You know, if the dish will get over the top of the trees and have good, you know, good reception and everything. I want to sign up for Dish Network. I want to get your largest package. And the guy says, you know, well, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, not a problem. It's gonna cost you $20. I said, whoa, stop the presses. What did you say? $20 to have a guy come out and tell me if I can be your customer? You got to be kidding me. He said, no, you know, well, you'll get just free installation. I said, whoa, stop. I'm not paying you $20 to send some guy out here and tell me whether or not I can be your customer. I said, if he comes out and he says everything's cool, I'm going to be your customer. Don't you understand this? I said, just send him out. It won't take him, you know, 2 minutes to tell me whether or not it's going to work. And then he says, well, what kind of credit do you have? I said, what does the credit have to do with any of this? I just want a guy out here to tell me if your dish is going to go over the trees and give me reception. And he finally, you know, we just went back and forth on this. And I said, okay, buddy, I'm not paying you $20 to find out if I can be your customer. This conversation is over. And I just hung up. So, Dish Network, you lost a customer because of some idiot you put on your phone. Let's see if we can't get the tone control in and the volume control. Kind of cool, huh? You know, getting back to that guy on that Dish Network phone, he acted like everything he was telling me was somehow normal. I just still can't get over that. You know, trust me, our country is doomed. The tone control and the volume control and on-off switch are in. And now I'm going to go ahead and work on this band switch a little bit. I've got I took out the old wax capacitor that was here. It was a 0.01. I'm going to go ahead and solder that in. And then there's a red wire down in the bowels of this thing that goes from one set of contacts here over to another contact here. So I don't want to wrestle with that later once it's in the chassis. So I'll go ahead and, you know, change that out next. And any other wires that cross over that look bad, I'll go ahead and get them changed also. Now's the time to do it. Don't wait till it's in the chassis and you have to, you know, struggle with it like crazy and wind up breaking something. I don't want to break any of these tabs on this band switch. They're pretty strong little tabs and everything, but you know, you got to be careful. You just got to be careful with everything. I've decided to make a change after going through all the process of de-rusting these screws that hold these little circuit boards in. There's one there and there's one right here. I've decided not to go with these screws. I've decided to go with brass screws. And we'll just have brass that'll match the screws holding the tube sockets in. That's about the only change. And I put another brass screw I picked up to hold this you know, filter can in. It'll squeeze those two together right there, a brass nut and bolt. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get this mechanism right here. You remember I had 4 resistors on a circuit board, a little terminal board here. Let's see if we can't get that all anchored in. We got too many pieces flopping around here. We need to kind of tighten things up here. Let's tighten up this ship. So far so good. We've got this circuit board mounted back on with the old brass screw with the spacers down below and getting it up there where it belongs. This one that has the 4 resistors is now mounted back on nice and tight, again with spacers. Get it up off the chassis the way it's supposed to be mounted. And I also mounted this capacitor back here, right here. That one needs to be mounted also, and I just went ahead and decided to mount it up temporarily. It's got the spacers in there and everything the way it's supposed to be, but eventually that's going to come out and something different will be put in there. But I just wanted to anchor it down. So we're going to get things anchored down here a little bit. Now, before putting the band switch in the hole, I think I'll go ahead and mount up the tuner on the other side and get these grounding tabs mounted to the bottom of the tuner holes. And there's a reason why I'm doing that. You know, there comes a time when you do a restoration when you begin to lose confidence. You know, you look at something like this and you go, oh God, you know, if you were to buy it like this, it would be like, no, there's just no way. There's just no way. Well, the way you build confidence is to do something easy that makes it look really good. And all of a sudden, it just doesn't look so bad. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't look so difficult. It doesn't look like, it still looks like a challenge, but it doesn't look like it's insurmountable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So what we're going to do is put the tuner back on the top, which will kind of make it look slick. Then we'll go ahead and stick our band switch in the hole, because the band switch would kind of be in the way anyway with what I'm trying to do over here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put our plate goes up here like this, and then our tuner will sit on top of the plate like that, and we'll screw it down, okay? See what that looks like. Well, there's our tuner. Now it's still a little loose. I'm going to have to stop off at the hardware store tomorrow and pick up a couple of fiber washers to put underneath of it. Needs a little bit more spacing, and I remember that it had fiber washers that just crumbled into little pieces when I took it apart. So everything else is on. I just need to put the fiber washers will go up underneath the head of these 3 screws right here. All right, now I think I'm kind of on a roll. I'm just in a good mood. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick this on there too. Let's get this on there. Now I have to put these spacers behind each of these holes right here and stick the screws into these 2 little holes here. Let's see what that looks like. Well, that doesn't look too bad at all. I can't wait tomorrow to get a couple fiber bushings on there, which will really lock this baby down. Okay, let's go ahead. I'll tell you what, I just can't stop here. Let's go ahead and put this band switch in. This large star washer goes on the outside here. It's the only one that has a large, it's called an inside star washer, and it keeps this thing from rotating left and right because it takes quite a bit of torque to turn this shaft. These others, you know, are just easy to turn, real easy. But this one here, you know, it's got a ball bearing type of setup with wafer switches, and if you didn't have that star to really lock it to the chassis, it would have a tendency to back away and turn. They come loose, and when you go to turn it, the whole assembly would turn. We don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and get that in there, get that thing on there, and get a nut on the collar here. The band switch is in. Yes, it is. And man, I'll tell you what, this thing is beginning to take some shape. Finally, after all this time, it's beginning to partially look like a radio. All right, you know, I was going to wrap up this video right here, but then I said, wait a minute, you know, why not just change out at least one wire underneath? You know, let's change out one wire. So, let me get this thing situated here. There we go. I decided let's change out this white one. I just zeroed in on the white one right there, sticking up above everything else. Why not? Now this white wire goes from pin 3 on the 2A5 over to a large resistor right here. This great big sucker. I don't know if you can see that. It's underneath this. This little one actually broke off a little while ago, so I'll just kind of move it out of the way. Right there, that great big sucker. Now that That big old resistor on this drawing right here, that big old baby, is that one right there. R14. A 20,000 ohm resistor. Looks like about a 3 watter. Okay? 20,000 ohms. So let's take a look at the 2A5, which is right here. Let me move it down here a little bit. The 2A5 pin 3 is right there. So let's follow it all the way around. We're looking for R14. Let's see if it actually goes there. Comes across. Nope. That wire goes to the speaker plug. It also comes up and it connects to R14. There it is right there. 20,000 ohm. So this would be our white wire. It comes down, comes across, and goes up to that resistor. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to change out this first wire, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video. All I got to do is just disconnect it from the tube socket pin 3, disconnect it from this resistor. What they did is kind of interesting, you know, the end, let me get a light in here. I want you to be able to see this. This is kind of interesting the way they did some of this stuff. See the end of that large resistor right there? It's a great big giant end, and they actually soldered wires and things to them. They soldered it right to the resistor. That's amazing, huh? And over here the same way. So that white wire is soldered to that resistor. You know, if I have to change out this large resistor, that's not going to work. That will not work, because I'm not going to have a big old resistor to solder it to like that has these big old ends on it. So I may have to wind up, you know, before this is over, going with a terminal strip. Everything connected to this end of that resistor and everything connected to this end of the resistor will have to be soldered to a terminal strip I'll have to put under here somewhere. Yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens. Right now, let's just go ahead and change that wire. It's possible. Let me see, is that thing even in the circuit? See, it's still in the circuit a little bit. Maybe I'll test it with the multimeter and see what it reads. I've been sitting here while I'm working on this old radio, listening to Old Radio Al's latest YouTube upload. It's on a DeWald, D-E-W-A-L-D, D519. Nice little old radio. If you haven't watched any of Old Radio Al's videos about the radios he's got, you know, it would behoove you to do so. It's because he's got some really good stuff. He gives some background history on these radios, which is kind of unique. No one that I know of on YouTube does it on a consistent basis like he does. Anyway, it kind of makes my day to listen to some of the music coming out of his old radios.
Make me feel only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. You know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now.
Alright, right now we have got to get back to this radio. In order to test this 20,000 ohm resistor, this big old sucker in there, what I'm going to do is unsolder this wire from the end of it, take it completely out of the circuit. If it measures 20,000 ohms, we're good to go. If it does not, if it's way out of tolerance, one way or the other, then we're not going to be able to use it. And of course, I'm going to have to install a terminal strip up here somewhere, probably hook it there like I said, and we'll remove this and put a 20,000 ohm 3 watt resistor. That could be a 2 watt, but I think it's a 3. 20,000 ohm 3 watt resistor on the terminal strip, and we'll run the wires that were originally connected to each end of this resistor up to that 20,000 ohm resistor. So let's get this thing unsoldered. I've got the iron hot, and we'll do a check. I've got the multimeter set to the 200,000 ohm scale. Let's go ahead and touch it to the other end. I've got the multimeter gator wired on one side of it right here. We'll touch the other side and see what happens. We're looking for 20,000. Well, we've got 20,000 and then some. Holy mackerel. This thing is 3 times what it's supposed to be. 57.8 thousand ohms. Alright. Okay. Well, I guess we're not going to get to install that wire after all. Now, that's kind of disheartening, but, you know, hey, that's the way it goes, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and remove that old resistor and get this thing set up with a terminal strip like we talked about. And I guess that's it for now. So until next time, sorry for the disappointment on that wire. I'm more disappointed than you are. This is John.